Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle comic review of The Mighty World of Marvel. 5p. It was 5p back then. Now, this is issue number 1 and October 7th, 1972. 50 years ago. The world's greatest superheroes. Also got a mystery surprise for every reader. See page 20. Now, my copy's quite tatty. It's been read a few times over the years and I never look after my comics particularly well. Should do, but didn't. So, Spider-Man, Hulk and the Fantastic Four. Now, many of these were appearing earlier. Spider-Man, of course, in POW and Fantastic Four in MWOM. But really, I didn't buy that many of those. So it was really, for me, lots of great stories that I hadn't read. First one, Bruce Banner. Now, it was all in, obviously, green and white, but black and white. We didn't get it in full colour. And there's a little bit of colour, but not very much. But you got the Hulk there. The coming of the Hulk. Unfortunately, we only got half the story. You had to wait to issue 2 to get the rest of it. Though it didn't particularly matter with Spider-Man because, of course, it did actually finish in the proper way. But still, in most cases, we always had it in 2-parters. You got there Bruce Banner there, of course, and you got introduced to Miss Ross, etc. And it's just great to see all these characters. And let's just turn the page so I can actually get to the next page. Always the way. Let's stick it together. The Hulk finally turns into the Hulk at this point. Get out of the way, my insect, he says as he bashes through the wall. Out! More little men. And of course, at the time, I think it was in grey, this comic. Of course, I've never seen a copy of Hulk issue 1 ever. So it would be nice to get a copy of that. But I think that's ridiculously priced now. But this, you see the Hulk smashing through there. And he goes flying off. And you saved my life. You need me now. Rick Jones follows behind. Still, what a great story it was. I always love the fact that they're always advertising lots of stamps as well. Free stamp collectors' outfits, stamps, 100. You too can have a body like mine. And also the instructions, how to iron on your free Marvel t-shirt transfer. I really can't remember if we did. I'm certain I did. I don't know. I probably didn't do it. I'm certain my mum did it. But it's there. Now you've also got this, of course, the Mighty World of Marvel pin-up. I always loved the pin-ups. And this one, the Mole Man, one of my least favourite characters of Marvel. But at the time, I must admit, wow. Now, he could have been the Mole Man. The way it says it, the mysterious... You got that... Anyway, that's just the way it's done. You'll meet him next week in the Mighty World of Marvel, which sort of tells it all. Because, of course, you've got the origin story in this one, not the actual Mole Man. They split it in that weird way. I never understood that. I've recently bought the Chip Kidd book, which I love, showing the brilliant Fantastic Four #1 in true, very fine detail. But still, I loved it in this. And this is one thing I really like about the UK comics. I always thought that they were quite crisp, really sharp, and it was really, because of course it was slightly bigger than the US ones. You know, they were pretty decent, I think. I mean, I was a bit sort of, I thought, oh, they're not as good as the American ones, but at the same time, they weren't bad. Of course, they've never held the value of the American ones, but still, top secret with Paul Tom Gap. What a place to put it. Must be searching what he was searching for. Still. And then on to the next story. So you've got Fantastic Four. He turns obviously back into Bruce Banner at that point. And with those immortal words ringing in our shell-like ears, we get obviously into the next story, the Fantastic Four. You've got Susan Storm, Ben Grimm, Johnny Storm, and of course Dr. Reed Richards. And what a classic. Central City, someone pointed out to me, is not obviously New York, but still, obviously later it was. But here, Central City. It is the first time I found it necessary to give the signal. So clearly that was obviously probably their first adventure, we assume. There were no earlier adventures. But still, Fantastic Four, never heard of them. Who are they? And clearly, it's time for the world to meet the Invisible. I love the way that she suddenly goes out. And you think she could have turned around and sort of mentioned, I'm just going to leave and I'm going to turn invisible. It's the sort of thing that you think you'd slightly do, wouldn't you? I might as well cruise around until I pick up a fare. Here's a fare. Ah, he says. And he whizzes off. That really helped. Still, you've also got Ben Grimm. Love that, the thing. Always wondered, how did he get in the store? It's always a big issue for me. Gets in the store, you think, he's in a men's clothing store. Maybe went back entrance or something. It came in. But still, because he goes out the front and, of course, takes out the door frame, which is probably not very good. Did he suddenly get a bit bigger at that point? But it falls into rips off a manhole cover. And obviously, at this point, no one knows who he is. So I guess it would create a bit of a stir. But of course, I think at the time, I didn't know. Didn't know that Marvel had all these monster comics. Now, many of these people here, all the various, you'd think that they would have been exposed to all these sort of creatures for the last 4 or 5 years. They had Gorgo and whatever, all the vast number of names. And of course, we've got Human Torch. You see it there straight away. He's working away in his car lot, service stop, as it says there. Anyway, station, I should say. But then we find out about the Human Torch. Now, I didn't know about the earlier Human Torch, of course, at this point. But still, you've also got Stan Lee, a special message from Stan Lee. Yes, Marvel, most talented artists and writers who bring Amazing Spider-Man, Hulk and the Fabulous Fantastic Four, the world's most powerful. Now, I didn't actually mention about any of the other ones, but of course, at this point, I actually don't think I'd bought... yes, I bought... No, probably about a month or so later, I bought some American ones. Really can't remember the exact order of buying them, but I think it was probably a couple of months later, because I bought Fantastic Four 132, and that was March 73, so that probably was about January. Can't remember exactly. But still, a mad Marvelite. But of course, you can see that I've actually wrecked my issue straight away by taking out the coupon. Don't think I actually even sent it off, but still, I cut it out. That was always the thing with coupons. Always love cutting coupons out. Didn't worry about keeping them in mint condition. You got the Human Torch there. A Human Torch! Again, that would be something that says, remember me saying there was one thing that I care about more than cars? Of course, the Human Torch, was it probably in reasonable memory, that was in 1940s. Of course, you had the original Human Torch. It's something human. It's not a comment. That sounds a bit like a certain other character. But I love this bit where seconds later, the mayor of Central City issues an emergency order. I love that bit. Because the thing is, before the hour is out, Washington has also taken immediate action. So, well, surely he would have been halfway across. He would have got back to the various base by that time. Still, anyway, he whizzes around, of course, melts. That would have cost a few quid. Now, I must admit, I've always wondered about that. What was Fantastic Four's sort of insurance policy for all this damage that he was causing? But still. Got here the inspiring group known as the Fantastic Four. So we finally, someone here, good, there is a task. The wait's a fearful task. And of course then we learn the origin story. Cosmic rays. No one knows what they'll do. Luckily, well, they all, of course, turn into the Fantastic Four. My body feels hot, etc., etc. I guess the thing is, you don't actually... Sue doesn't turn around and say anything about... No. She feels like she... But it's the first time, of course, we see them characters disappearing there. And, of course, the Thing turns up, rips off this branch. She's probably rotten anyway, but still, that could have been a bit more dramatic, I expect him anyway. But still, pretty dramatic. And, of course, you've got Reed wrapping around him. And, of course, the other Johnny Storm bursts into flames. And that's the origin of the Fantastic... Sorry, these are all spoilers. I assume that everyone has read these about 5 million times, but they're still great. And I think I probably can reread this many times and it still will be just as enjoyable. Same goes for me, the Invisible Girl, the Thing. And so the Fantastic Four was born. And we got encyclopedias. You can't beat an encyclopedia as well, or Junior Pictorial, as it says there. Children's Book Club. These great books, only 45 pence. Oh, some are 90 pence. 90 pence, 90 pence. Oh, I guess that was the original price. Then, as someone's pointed out in one of my other ones of this review, that I said Flash Gordon. Of course, I didn't mean... It would have been Ming the Merciless, wouldn't it? Would have been the character. But it's Flash Thompson and Liz. And I love it. Wouldn't know a cha-cha from a waltz. Ah, I expect he did. But still, Peter Parker is Midtown's High, only professional wallflower. And, of course, you've got Spidey there standing over him. We know who he's going to become. Well, at this point, of course, we didn't know who he was going to become. Still, he goes to see Sally and he gets pushed aside by Flash and he goes off to a science exhibit, which luckily he didn't go off with Sally. Because otherwise, well, maybe she was going to come with me to the science exhibit. No, that just wouldn't have worked. Give our regards to the Atom Smashers, as Liz says. This is the thing I always love about these Fantastic Fours and Spideys. They really just told the origin in literally one page, 1 or 2 pages. I mean, this is one page. You just got him goes there, gets bitten. That's it. and then he jumps. He's Spidey. That's it. He's become Spider-Man. That was one egghead who won't meet Daydream as he crosses the road. Now, of course, you'd have to worry about certain other things as he goes along, but he'd be able to jump out of the way. Mummy, there's a man walking up the side of a building. I love that bit. There. That's the last horror movie I'll take. Really? Did she take him to a horror movie? What? Maybe she meant a cartoon or something. It was like, sort of. But still, he crushed the steel pipe as though it was paper at this point. And then, of course, he disguised him. $100 to the man who can stand the ring against Crusher Hogan. Now, I wonder if Crusher Hogan ever turned up as a supervillain somewhere else. That sounds a great name. Crusher Hogan. Put me down, you win. Still. And there he is. We get Spider-Man. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. My apologies. But it's just absolute classic. Who is Spider-Man? You got here. And actually, this is one thing that I just suddenly thought about when you see all these things. You've got all the various papers. You never see those listed. So you've got here The Viewer, The Daily Chronicle, and something else. I can't read that. Spider-Man slated for new TV series. And The Daily Voice. The Bugle, for some weird reason, is not mentioned in that list. As if they didn't think about the Daily Bugle at that point. Just odd. Just seems to be a bit strange that one is not mentioned. Of course, sign with me. I'll put you in the movies and all that sort of stuff. These sort of fame and success are suddenly... Of course, we're introduced to Aunt May and Ben, of course. And it's just great. Great little story. Greatest family. And then, of course, tragedy happens. And great responsibility at the end. Don't miss next week's issue of The Mighty World of Marvel for more action-packed adventures of Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, and the Incredible Hulk as he walks off into the distance. And a legend is born, of course, at this point. My fault. Uncle Ben is dead. Sorry, again, spoilers. What can you do when you're going through an old issue 50 years ago? It's just a great issue. I really love this. It's held up quite well, considering it's probably been read at least 200, 300 times, I suppose, over these years, just picked up, if not done in occasional reviews. It's just great little stories. I wish I kept looked after it a bit better, but still, it's not bad. And that's it. Fantastic Four, the whole... Of course, we had to wait a little while to actually get a few of the other characters. So we had Daredevil. Daredevil came along a little bit later. Can't remember, it's actually issue 20, I think. Then we had the Avengers came around about issue 46. Of course, we had the split with the Spider-Man going off, Spider-Man's Comic Weekly as well. That was great. I love that. I bought that as well. Because we had... Unfortunately, I didn't keep my copy of Spider-Man #1. Wish I had, because that would have been great. But that had Thor in that. So that was good. Always wonder, your first comic, did you get this one? Mighty World of Marvel, did you get issue 1 or 2 or 3? Did you just get it when it maybe... Because it went glossy at one point. You had a glossy cover. I somehow never really liked the glossy cover as much as this one, this type of style. This style was much nicer. I always more fond memories of this period of the comics than when they changed. They changed it, and then, of course, it changed a lot. The format changed. We had Titans. We had the Super Spider-Man one, I think, where it was sort of that format instead of that way around. And then, of course, we had the pocket books came along. There was lots of... But this, for me... This was the best. I love this. And at the time, got the annuals, of course. The annual came out. Got that. Got a couple of the annuals. I didn't get them all along, but I got a fair number of the annuals. And I bought up most of the Mighty World of Marvel, certainly to about issue 200, 300. And I love them. All the Spider-Man one, the Avengers Weekly, as well as other issues that came out. There was lots and lots of... Obviously, Dracula had one, and probably a few others as well. But it was just great. So, your first issue, which one do you like? Which ones do you like? I mean, I think this one, it's not the greatest story, probably for me. I don't know. Well, I think probably the Avengers first issue. I love that one. Issue 46, that was a good one. Probably some of the ones, maybe Doctor Doom and Ant-Man one. I don't know why, but that one was always a great issue. But then again, I like lots of Spider-Man ones, like Mr. Hyde and Cobra, or Cobra, I'm not certain how to say them. But this one is still a good issue. But at the same time, Mole Man was never a favourite. And of course, it's got nothing particularly to say other than the fact it's got the origin stories. And it's, of course, a classic. But still, it'd be nice to know what your favourites are. You must have a few, I'm certain.